Have you ever wondered why some people stay active, independent, and full of life well into their 80s and 90s, while others seem to slow down, struggle with basic tasks, and rely more on medications and assistance? Is it just luck, good genes, or is there something more to it? Well, here's the truth. Science has uncovered 5 key factors that directly impact how long and how well you live after 70. And the best part, you have control over all of them. Imagine waking up every morning feeling strong, sharp, and full of energy, knowing that you're not just adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Imagine being able to go on long walks without pain, travel without worrying about your health, and enjoy time with family without feeling like a burden. No more worrying about losing mobility, forgetting things, or feeling trapped in an aging body. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into it, and stick around, because factor number 4 might just surprise you. It's one that scientists say is more important than even exercise or diet when it comes to living longer and staying independent. Now, let's start with factor number 1. And this one is an absolute game changer. It's not just about how often you work out or how fit you are. This factor goes much deeper than that. In fact, research shows that this single habit can add years to your life and drastically improve your quality of life. And that habit is staying physically active, not just through exercise, but through movement all day long. We all know that movement is important, but here's what most people don't realize. It's not just about going for a walk or lifting weights. It's about avoiding long periods of sitting. Think about your typical day. How many hours do you spend sitting? Maybe you wake up, sit down for breakfast, then move to your favorite chair to watch TV, read, or scroll through your phone. Maybe later, you sit again for lunch, then relax in the afternoon. Before you know it, hours and hours have passed, and your body has barely moved. This is what researchers call the sitting disease, and it's now recognized as one of the biggest threats to longevity. Sitting for long periods slows down your metabolism, weakens your muscles, stiffens your joints, and increases your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even dementia. It makes your body age faster than it should. A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology found that adults over 70 who sit for more than 8 hours a day are at a significantly higher risk of early death, even if they exercise regularly. The body was made to move, and when it doesn't, it starts to break down. But here's the good news. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights to turn this around. Take George, for example. He's 74, and for years, he believed that slowing down was just a normal part of aging. He thought, I'm too old to exercise, and besides, I don't have the energy for it. His daily routine consisted of waking up, sitting down to watch TV, reading the newspaper, and occasionally going to the grocery store. He assumed he was just getting older, and that's why he felt stiff and sluggish. But then, after a routine checkup, his doctor warned him that his blood pressure was rising, his muscles were weakening, and his risk of falling was increasing. That was his wake-up call. So George made one small change. He set a timer to stand up and move for just 2 minutes every 30 minutes. That's it. No fancy workout, no gym membership, just consistent movement throughout the day. At first, it felt like nothing. But after just a few weeks, he started to notice changes. His legs felt stronger, his back didn't ache as much, and he even noticed that he was sleeping better at night. His energy levels improved, and he no longer felt stiff and slow when he got up in the morning. George didn't start lifting weights or jogging. He simply sat less and moved more. This is the key to staying strong and independent after 70. It's not about extreme exercise routines. It's about breaking up long periods of sitting and making movement a natural part of your day. If you're watching TV, get up and stretch during commercials. If you've been sitting for 30 minutes, Stand up and walk around for a couple of minutes. Take a short walk after meals. Just 10 minutes can make a huge difference. Because here's the truth, your muscles don't weaken because of age. They weaken because they aren't used. If you stay active, they will stay strong. Now, let's talk about factor number 2, which plays an even bigger role in protecting your brain and keeping you sharp well into your 80s and beyond. Now that we've talked about the importance of staying physically active and keeping your body moving, let's dive into something just as important, keeping your mind strong and engaged. Because here's something most people don't realize. Your brain ages just like your body does. If you don't challenge it, if you let it slip into autopilot, it will begin to slow down, making memory weaker, thinking slower, and even increasing the risk of dementia. That brings us to factor number 2, keeping your brain active and engaged. Most people assume that memory loss, forgetfulness, and difficulty concentrating are just a natural part of aging, something that's unavoidable. But research proves otherwise. Your brain is just like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it stays. Just like lifting weights keeps your body strong, exercising your brain keeps your mind sharp. Studies have shown that people who continue learning new things and engage in mentally stimulating activities well into their 70s and beyond have a lower risk of dementia and are able to stay independent for much longer. The brain thrives on challenge, and when you stop feeding it new information, it begins to shrink, literally. Research shows that in people who don't regularly engage their brains, the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory, actually shrinks over time. But here's the good news. You can prevent this and even reverse some cognitive decline simply by staying mentally active. Let's take Helen as an example. She's 78 years old and still as sharp as ever. While many of her friends have started to experience forgetfulness, Helen prides herself on her quick thinking, great memory, and problem-solving skills. What's her secret? She never stopped learning. Every day, Helen makes an effort to challenge her brain. She does crossword puzzles and Sudoku to keep her mind engaged. She reads books on topics she's never explored before, which forces her brain to process new information. She's even taken up learning Spanish using a language app. And while she's not fluent, the simple act of practicing something new every day keeps her neurons firing and her memory sharp. Now let's look at Sam, also 78. Sam, unlike Helen, has fallen into a daily routine that never changes. He watches the same TV shows every day, has the same conversations, and never really learns anything new. Over the years, his thinking has slowed down, and he struggles to recall things as quickly as he used to. He forgets names more often, misplaces things, and sometimes has trouble following conversations. The difference between Helen and Sam isn't luck. It's mental engagement. If you want to keep your mind sharp and protect yourself from cognitive decline, the best thing you can do is make learning a daily habit. Read books, newspapers, or magazines on topics you don't usually explore. Try learning a new skill, whether it's playing a musical instrument, gardening, or even learning how to use new technology. Engage in conversations that challenge your thinking, debate, discuss, and explore different perspectives. And here's something fascinating. Socializing is one of the best things you can do for brain health. Research shows that engaging in meaningful conversations, telling stories, and even listening to others activates multiple areas of the brain, keeping it healthy and reducing the risk of dementia. That means picking up the phone to chat with a friend, joining a club, or even just talking to a neighbor can help keep your mind sharp. Now, let's move on to factor number 3. And this one is critical for both your physical and mental well-being. Managing stress and maintaining a positive mindset. Most people don't think of stress as a major health risk after 70, but it's one of the biggest factors affecting longevity. Chronic stress leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, a weakened immune system, and even memory loss. But here's the problem. Stress doesn't always look like worrying all the time. Sometimes it shows up as frustration, loneliness, or feeling overwhelmed by change. Many older adults experience major life transitions, retirement, losing loved ones, or even feeling like they don't have as much purpose as they once did. If these emotions aren't managed well, they can slowly wear down both the body and the mind. Let's take Robert, who's 75. He used to be a positive and active person, but after his wife passed away, he found himself withdrawing from friends and family. At first, he thought he just needed time alone to grieve. But over time, the loneliness turned into chronic stress, and before long, he started feeling more aches, more fatigue, and less motivation to do the things he once enjoyed. His doctor noticed that his blood pressure had gone up, and Robert himself felt that he was aging much faster. Then there's Alice, who's also 75. She too has experienced loss and challenges, but she has a very different approach to life. She makes it a habit to find joy in small things, gardening, calling a friend, or listening to music. She practices deep breathing and gratitude, focusing on what she still has instead of what she's lost. Studies show that people who practice stress management techniques, whether it's meditation, deep breathing, spending time in nature, or simply laughing more, live longer and healthier lives. Their bodies produce less cortisol, the stress hormone, which means less inflammation, a stronger immune system, and better overall health. A study from Harvard found that people who report high levels of life satisfaction and lower stress live, on average, 7 years longer than those who don't. That means your mindset, your ability to stay positive, let go of stress, and enjoy life, directly impacts how long you live. If you want to protect your body and mind, focus on reducing stress. Find activities that bring you joy. Spend time with friends, family, or even pets. Laugh more. Yes, laughing literally reduces stress hormones and boosts the immune system. And most importantly, don't let small things steal your peace. Now that we've covered 3 powerful factors that influence longevity, let's talk about factor number 4, the one that scientists say is even more important than exercise and diet when it comes to living a long, healthy life. Now that we've talked about keeping your body moving, your brain engaged, and your stress under control, let's discuss something that most people don't realize is one of the biggest predictors of a long and healthy life. In fact, researchers say that this factor is even more important than diet and exercise when it comes to longevity. And that brings us to factor number 4, staying socially connected. Most people think that loneliness is just an emotion, something that comes and goes. But science tells a different story. Loneliness is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yes, you heard that right. A lack of social connection has been linked to a higher risk of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, depression, and even dementia. When people feel isolated, their body enters a state of chronic stress, releasing higher levels of cortisol, which over time damages the heart, the brain, and the immune system. One of the longest-running studies on human life, the Harvard study of adult development, followed people for over 80 years to determine what makes a person live longer and stay healthier. The results? It wasn't wealth, genetics, or even perfect physical health. The number one predictor of longevity was the quality of their relationships. People who were socially connected, whether through friends, family, or their community, not only lived longer, but also had fewer chronic illnesses, lower rates of depression, and sharper minds well into old age. Think about it. Have you ever met someone in their 80s or 90s who still seems full of life, laughter, and energy? Chances are they are surrounded by a group of friends, have regular conversations, and remain engaged with their community. On the other hand, Have you noticed that people who spend too much time alone tend to age faster? They withdraw, lose interest in hobbies, and even start showing signs of cognitive decline. Social isolation isn't just an emotional burden, it physically affects the body and speeds up aging. Let's take Barbara as an example. She's 82 and still has the energy of someone much younger. She doesn't have a big family, but she's made an effort to stay socially active. She has a group of friends she meets for coffee every week, volunteers at a local community center, and even enjoys chatting with neighbors when she goes for her daily walk. Because of this, she stays mentally sharp, physically active, and emotionally fulfilled. She rarely feels lonely because she has a strong support system around her. Now let's look at Ed, also 82. Ed used to be a very social person, but after retirement and losing some close friends, he gradually stopped reaching out. He spends most of his time at home, watching TV, only getting the occasional phone call from family. Over time, his energy has dropped, his memory isn't as sharp, and he started feeling aches and pains more often. His doctor has noticed a decline in his overall health, and Ed himself admits that he doesn't feel as motivated to do things anymore. The difference between Barbara and Ed isn't luck, it's human connection. Barbara actively maintains relationships, while Ed has started to withdraw from the world. And here's the good news. It's never too late to rebuild social connections. Even if you've lost touch with old friends or feel like your social circle has gotten smaller, you can still take action today. Pick up the phone and call an old friend. If you don't have many close friends, consider joining a group, whether it's a book club, a gardening group, a church community, or a fitness class. Volunteering is another great way to meet people while doing something meaningful. And if you're thinking, but I'm not a social person, that's okay. Social connection isn't about being the life of the party. It's about having meaningful relationships. Even just one or two close connections, someone you can talk to, laugh with, and share life's moments with, can add years to your life. Now, let's talk about the fifth and final factor that directly affects how long and how well you live. This one impacts everything: your energy levels, your immune system, your bones, muscles, brain function, and even your risk of developing chronic diseases. Factor number 5, nutrition and hydration. We've all heard the phrase, "You are what you eat." But after 70, this becomes more true than ever. As we age, our bodies require more nutrients to maintain muscle strength, brain function, and immune health. Unfortunately, many people unknowingly eat in a way that accelerates aging rather than protects against it. A diet high in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats leads to chronic inflammation, which is one of the biggest causes of age-related diseases like arthritis, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Inflammation is like rust inside the body. It slowly damages cells, weakens the immune system, and speeds up aging. Let's take Frank, who's 77. Frank never really paid attention to his diet. He ate whatever was convenient, whether it was fast food, processed snacks, or sugar-loaded desserts. Over the years, he gained weight, felt more sluggish, and started experiencing joint pain and digestive problems. His doctor warned him about high cholesterol and prediabetes, but he dismissed it, thinking it was just part of getting older. Now let's look at Margaret, also 77. Unlike Frank, Margaret made an effort to nourish her body with foods that support longevity. She fills her plate with colorful vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats like olive oil and nuts, and fiber-rich whole grains. She also makes sure to stay hydrated, drinking plenty of water throughout the day. The result? Margaret has more energy, fewer aches and pains, and better overall health. She rarely gets sick, her digestion is strong, and she doesn't feel foggy or sluggish. She has clearer skin, better mobility, and stronger bones because she's giving her body the nutrients it needs to thrive. The good news is, you don't have to follow a strict diet to reap the benefits of better nutrition. Just a few simple changes can make a big difference. Start by eating more whole foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats, fish, nuts, and whole grains. These foods reduce inflammation, support brain health, and help maintain muscle mass. Cutting back on sugar and processed foods is another key step. Too much sugar contributes to weight gain, diabetes, and even brain fog. Processed foods, loaded with preservatives, additives, and unhealthy fats, put unnecessary stress on the body and weaken the immune system. And one of the most overlooked aspects of nutrition: staying hydrated. Many older adults don't drink enough water, which leads to fatigue, joint pain, and even confusion. Even mild dehydration makes the heart work harder and slows down digestion. Aim for at least 6 to 8 glasses of water per day, more if you live in a hot climate or are physically active. And here's something interesting. Studies show that people who follow a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in olive oil, fish, nuts, vegetables, and whole grains, tend to live longer and healthier lives than those who eat a typical Western diet. Now that we've covered the 5 most important factors for longevity after 70, let's bring it all together and discuss how you can start applying these habits in your daily life to stay strong, independent, and full of life for years to come. We've talked about 5 scientifically proven factors that directly influence how long and how well you live after 70. But let's take a step back for a moment. Because the real question isn't just about how many years you can add to your life. It's about how much life you can add to your years. What's the point of living to 90 or 100 if those extra years are filled with weakness, exhaustion, and reliance on others for basic needs? Longevity is not just about numbers. It's about waking up each morning feeling strong and capable. It's about having the energy to move freely, stay independent, and continue doing the things you love without struggling. It's about staying mentally sharp so that you can remember names, hold great conversations, and enjoy life's moments with full awareness. It's about having the ability to travel, socialize, and engage in the world around you without feeling like a burden. And the best part? You have control over this. Right now, you have a choice. You can let time take control, allowing your body and mind to weaken year after year. Or you can take action and start making small, simple changes today that will allow you to live longer and stronger. No, it won't happen overnight. But the small habits you build today will determine the life you live tomorrow. We've already covered the 5 key factors that influence longevity. When you move more throughout the day, you keep your muscles strong, your joints flexible, and your heart healthy. When you challenge your brain, you keep your memory sharp, your mind engaged, and your risk of dementia lower. When you manage stress, you protect your heart, immune system, and overall well-being. When you stay socially connected, you avoid the harmful effects of loneliness, keeping your body and mind in better shape. And when you eat well and stay hydrated, you give your body the fuel it needs to keep functioning at its best. These 5 factors do not work in isolation. They are all connected, like pieces of a puzzle. If you ignore even one, it affects the others. If you don't eat well, your energy drops, making it harder to stay active. If you don't manage stress, your sleep suffers, and your body becomes more vulnerable to disease. If you don't stay socially connected, your risk of cognitive decline increases. Everything is linked. That's why longevity is not about making just one change. It's about making small, consistent choices every single day. And here's the most important thing to remember. It's never too late to start. It doesn't matter if you're 70, 80, or even 90. Your body and mind can still improve if you start treating them with care. Studies have shown that people who begin exercising later in life can regain muscle strength and improve balance. People who start socializing more in their later years can reverse some of the negative effects of isolation. People who switch to healthier foods, even after years of unhealthy eating, can significantly lower their risk of heart disease and improve brain function. Take Robert, who didn't start exercising until he was 75. For years, he thought he was too old to start working out. He assumed his joint pain and weakness were just part of aging. But after just a few months of simple, low-impact exercises, he found that his knees hurt less, his back felt stronger, and he could walk longer distances without getting tired. Now at 78, he feels better than he did at 70. Then there's Margaret, who had always been independent but found herself feeling lonely after her husband passed away. She spent most days alone, watching TV, convinced that her social life was over. But one day, she decided to make a change. She joined a local community group where she met people her age who shared similar interests. Now, she attends weekly meetups, has new friends to talk to, and has even noticed that her mood and energy levels have improved. Her doctor has seen improvements in her blood pressure and overall health simply because she made an effort to connect with others. And then there's Helen, who had always believed that memory loss was an unavoidable part of aging. She noticed that she was forgetting small things more often, which made her feel frustrated and worried. But instead of giving up, she decided to challenge her brain. She started reading more, solving puzzles, and even began learning a new language. Within months, she felt more confident in conversations, had an easier time remembering things, and felt mentally sharper than she had in years. These are not stories of people who had perfect genetics or special advantages. These are real people who simply made the decision to take control of their health. And if they can do it, so can you. So let me ask you, which of these 5 factors are you going to start working on today? Will you take a short walk after meals to keep your body moving? Will you pick up a book and challenge your brain with new information? Will you call an old friend or join a local group to stay socially connected? Will you swap out a processed meal for something fresh and nourishing? Will you make sleep a priority and let your body rest the way it deserves? You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just pick one. Start small. Once that habit becomes part of your routine, add another, then another. The small, consistent choices you make today will shape the future of your health, your independence, and your quality of life. The power to live a longer, healthier life is in your hands. And if you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which factor surprised you the most? What's one thing you're going to start doing differently? Share your thoughts. I read every comment, and I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe for more content on how to stay strong, healthy, and independent as you age. We're building a community of people who believe that getting older doesn't mean slowing down. It means taking control and living life to the fullest. Because remember, your best years aren't behind you. They're still ahead. Here's to a longer, healthier, and happier life. You've got this.